Good morning. Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Ian.
I'm Lauren.
And this is the weekend, which means we play with our strength at the workout. We'll start with the body weight, work on some balances, some crawls, and some squats. But we'll start with a nice upper body warm-up. I'll start in my position similar to the squat and maybe have the hands across your chest or just loosely at your sides. First, we'll do our head and neck. We'll start by doing a gentle chin tuck, and we'll end up looking down on the ground just a little bit. Then at the head and neck, scrape across a clavicle or a collarbone of yours and look out over the shoulder and then up the wall. Looking up the wall, get to the center of the body and then return through the middle as we flex the neck down the middle. Next, rotate along the other clavicle, up the other wall, towards the ceiling, and then just reset the crown high and your eyes on the horizon in the middle. Let's reverse this direction. So now it's a gentle extension. Then I'll look out to that original side being the right, down the wall,
Or the left.
to the collarbone, then in center. I'm pulling down on these scalene neck muscles to support my extension up. And then I look out the other side, do a chin tuck, come back to center, and then reset on the horizon. Maybe just shake that out, and then let's do the same actions to the rib cage with the hands across the body. Lightly retract the shoulders. It does start with a chin tuck, so gently address that first, and then it's this flexion or rounding shape forward. Next, our hips stay forward as we rotate to the diagonal, then dip to the back corner, lift up to the middle, and then pull those abs back down. Repeating, we are flexed in the front, rotate the other side, up and over to the back. Once you're in center, return to that strong middle. Test your shield. And reversing the action will be an extension up, a rotation to the corner, a side bend, a gentle circling action back to the front, and pull down on those abs as we continue to lift up. And then one last rotation to the other corner, a side bend back there too. And then that last circle shape back around to the front and up. One last exercise for me, and then we'll hand it to Lauren and just start addressing those shoulder blades. With the hands facing, palms facing forward, low effort, elevate or shrug your shoulders. And from those armpits or lats, press down, reaching towards the floor. Repeat again for low effort series with straight elbows and down. And then for 2 repetitions, let's just round the shoulders forward, retract, but keep that rib cage down as we do. And one more time of a low effort rounding, low effort retracting, shake it away and toss it over to my training partner, Lauren.
Excellent. Let's come down to the floor and warm up those hips and wrists. So to get there, let's do our knee towards over our toes. Knees press over our toes. Hang out here, hike a hip, pull a hip down. See how it feels. Then push your hips through to stand up tall. We'll push down and find our first balance of the day on our tiptoes. Then control the down. As your heels land, keep absorbing by bending your knees. Let's stay the same height and find a balance on our tiptoes here for 3, 2. Now, super slow, grow up out of this balance and try to hold. And then super slow, bend back into that. This time we're descending all the way. We're coming all the way down. Knees will end up landing softly on the floor, extending the hips, pointing the toes out the back, and then lightly sitting back into those pointed feet. How does that feel through your quads, the top of your ankles? And then extend those hips back through. And we're going to warm up our lunge. We'll be exploring a new crawl today. So let's get into that lunge position to help with our lizard in a couple minutes. Right here in this lunge position, we have that back toe tucked, our front leg pushing down and pulling in, and our back hip extending forward. We're trying to create a nice straight line up with that upper body over top of our hips, avoiding that lean forward. So keep that back cheek squeezed, keep that front foot pushing down, and pull yourself in a forward direction. Keep extending on that back hip. Now as you push forward to go back, extend back hip, extend back hip. Repeat again, one more time. Pull yourself forward, keeping your back hip underneath you as you go to tally tall. Then heel toe that leg open to the side, and we'll repeat the same thing. Finding those level hips, so probably pulling that side hip down, pushing the side leg down and pulling it in, extending the back hip forward, and again, feeling that pull as you drift, and then that press back, but still extending. One last time, pull yourself over. This time as you come back, can you also use that inner adductor? So think about pulling yourself back up to center. Heel toe the leg to the front, zip it underneath, and repeat the same little routine on the other side. So from that lunge position, find level hips, drive down that front leg, pull it in, back hip forward on top of your body. Continue that pull tension so much that this time you actually move, knee towards over toe. Then change your forces, push the floor forward to send yourself back. One more time, pull. Back hip remains extended and squeezed, but we still have a core brace, so we're not arching through that low back. And then press ourselves forward to go backwards. Heel toe that leg open to the side. Check out that levelness. Then push down, and again, pull. Knee towards over toe. Once you've gone as far as you can for that ankle, press yourself back, meeting yourself up tall. Repeat again. Pull, pull, pull. Whoop. And then press to tall. Heel toe the leg to the front. Let's warm up those wrists. We'll hinge on the hips, pushing our hips back, landing first all 4 fingertips, then try to get those 4 knuckles down, then try to get those calluses down, and then finally the palms. Next, think about where your shoulders are. Are they shrugged up in their ears or gently pulled down out of your ears, lightly retracted or pinching a pencil together? Then let's look at those elbow pits. Let's right away turn them backwards to hide the blood donations. Then let's think about screwing those elbow pits in as best as we can, showing the blood donations. Repeat again, shoulders down, rotate the elbow pits backwards, rotate them forwards. One more time, rotate them actively backwards. And this time as we rotate them forward, let's really spend a couple extra seconds trying to keep rotating them. So keeping the shoulders down, keep trying to screw them into the hands, but keep the hands gripping for 3, 2, and then push through those first knuckles. Flick the floor away, shake that out. Let's do one more wrist and then see what happens. Hinge. Fists. Peace sign, knuckles down, shoulders out of your ears. Elbows straight. Keeping the elbows straight, slowly roll over the back of the hand. Prioritize keeping the shoulder down, keeping the elbow straight, over getting the back of the hand to the floor. Press yourself back up, pushing into the floor to get back up, repeating on the other side. Control the roll over. Try not to just flop into it. Shoulder down, elbow straight. Then push into the floor to get back up. One last time on each side. If you're finding this too intense from the floor, you can always elevate your surface, doing this from a table or from a wall. Last one, overhand, open up, and then push back up. Next, let's just place those hands back on the floor firmly, screw those wrists back in, pull your shoulders down, drift yourself a little bit forward, exploring that wrist extension, and then push back, flick the floor away. And we should come to standing.
That's right. Sounds good.
So we'll use that toe tuck. We'll rock ourselves back, reversing our down steps, pushing. Let's slowly press out of this, slow-mo, all the way to tall, and then slow descend to those heels. Whew, shake that out.
Shaking it out. We've already had a tally tall, but we haven't quite had that floppy moppy. I thought I'd get out there. But we have lots of Lift and Lauren and Ian isms here. So thank you for sharing, celebrating armpits that go forward and backwards and feet that root into the floor. So let's start with those feet now. Start pulling up a single leg to the low position at the ankle. Choose your high tension foot, either that karate dorsiflexed ankle down low is okay, or that nice ballet point. Hug the knee towards the midline without twisting. So keep the standing hip facing forward. Then low effort, just open that leg to the side. Keep your standing leg pressing forward, knee to the side, and repeat closing towards the midline. Stay low if that's best for you, or challenge the height of that hip flexion by taking the leg or the foot towards that standing leg knee. If we need the balance aid, it's right there. Then open that knee to the side next, stand tall, cramp that standing leg, and with control again, return it to the middle. Then when the foot comes down to the floor, let the toes touch first, just like Lauren's cues for the wrist. Then press the hip through, letting the heel come down last. Switching sides. Nice little standing figure 4 exercise here. Let's just warm up that stable, stationary leg and the gesturing leg that hugged the middle first. And then we slowly moved it out towards the side. Keeping the ribs over the hips, keeping your standing leg squeezed, feeling a little bit of action on that elevated hip, and then return to the midline. Stay low if that's best for you, or climb just a little bit higher. And if we're climbing, the hip is low as the knee is high. Hugging middle, we'll open that to the side next, and breathe. And oppose, and breathe, and then return to the middle. Get the balls of feet to touch first, and then press the hip through. We'll get back to the floor and explore very similar actions from those all fours. Let's get there through Lauren's toe squat series. It's the knees over toes first, and we'll extend or press right out of that. And let's just find a nice little toe balance right away. Own and slow down the control. Then find that safe low balance with the feet flat. Then find your balls of feet again. Stay on those balls of feet if you can. Find your tall balance. And this time, we're going all the way down. Slower is harder. Take your time. Get low. And then with the hands or without, knees down and hips through. Before we do those hip actions from all fours, we should just do a little bit of a cat-cow action in those hips. So push the hips back, fingers, calluses, hands, and this is my cow shape, or my anterior tip of the hip. When we use our cat-cow, avoid moving the spine and instead scoop the hips. So my hips are currently a cow, and working from my tailbone, using my abs, I'll start to tuck my hips underneath, which is a posterior tilt or a cat. When it's time to transition back towards that cow, I imagine pulling my femur heads into my hips, so I drive the action from the hips and the core and not the spine. Let's repeat that once or twice more. Slower is better, and more discreet is often also a win. Tuck your hips under, engage your abs and glutes, and when you tailbone tip away, pull those femur heads back in to the hip socket. Let's do that one more time. Tuck under, feel your abs to do that for you, and then finish with a tailbone tip away. We'll get off the hands for a second, so push the floor away, push the hips through with a little bit of a shake. Now we'll be exploring the hips for the front and then to that side position, and keep in mind the position of the tailbone hip. So right now I have my tailbone cow, and with my left leg, the one closest to you, I'll bend the knee so my foot leaves the floor. And then I'm going to suck that femur head into my hip so it hovers just off the floor at the kneecap. Then I'm reaching my knee towards my elbows, but my tailbone towards the back wall. That could be a lot of crampiness for a small movement. Then return your knee to the floor and take a rest. Switch to the other side. So do a knee bend first so the foot leaves. Then compress in that hip so the knee leaves the floor. And as you pull the knee forward, keep your tailbone reaching back or the other way for stability. Then place that knee on the floor. Let's do that one more time. Knee bend, knee compress, pull forward, breathe, 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 and then return to the ground. Switching, the foot leaves first, the knee compresses in the hip second, and my tailbone is reaching to the wall behind me still as my knee reaches towards the front. Then I'll place that down, I'll push my hands away, and I'm gonna hand it to Lauren for a second to take some time off those hands and maybe accentuate those core muscles.
All right, we'll flip to our backside here and fire up our hollow hold. So with our feet flat on the floor, knees bent, our arms at our side, palms up, we're first going to think about bringing our ribs to our hips. So what that looks like is there's a little mouse in the house behind your low back, meaning your spine is just the way it would be. You're not pushing your low back into the floor and you're not arching it off the floor. So let's just keep it as is. With our palms face up, we are going to think about lifting our head and shoulders off the floor because we pulled our ribs towards our hips. It's like somebody took a stapler and went onto your abs. It's exactly like that.
I like the sound effect.
Thank you. I couldn't repeat it. Okay, we're holding here, we're breathing. Are you gonna feel your neck? Probably, because you're defying gravity with your head. But really, you should be feeling those abs even more. For 3, 2, and then soft landing. Is it a bad thing to feel your neck? Not really, but try not to also overwork it. Think the pull or the compression is coming together from your core and your head is secondary to that. Let's repeat that again. So head, shoulders, I like to think almost my rib cage pulls before my head leaves and I'm holding. I've kept that little mouse in the house behind my low back. Maybe I just stay here, or maybe I lift both legs up over my hips and hold. And keep trying to breathe underneath that tension. So test it out. You can poke yourself here. Keep that tension, but keep breathing for 3, 2, and then soft landing. Good, let's flip back over to those hips and maybe we'll add on to that after.
One more move on those hips.
Whoa.
So we're back on our all fours, and how are your hands and wrists feeling? It's not necessarily easy being here, and we know that, so be careful. This time we're gonna reach a leg out to the side. So let's start with my left leg, the one closest to you, and I bent the knee so my foot leaves the floor. Then I'll compress in that hip so my knee leaves the floor. And then I'll reach towards the side, and in this moment, keep your inseam facing the ground. Then let your foot touch the ground and your inseam will face forward. It's a nice little turnout action in the hip. Repeat again as we turn in so that inseam faces the floor.
Are we like full turn in? No.
Inseam faces the ground there.
Okay.
And then one more time, do the turnout so the foot might touch the ground.
Or it might not.
And then one more time, turn in, and then hug that knee underneath patiently. We'll do the same thing towards the other side. The knee bends so the foot leaves.
Can I say one thing?
You can say 1 or 2 things.
Just make sure you keep a bowl of water on your back.
Excellent
So
cue.
don't try to open up so much that your entire body twists.
That's right. Chase those small shapes. So we'll pull the knee off the floor next, and then opening the leg to the side, keep your inseam facing the ground. Then like a ball and socket, like your hip is, get the foot towards touching the floor, and then do the turn in where that inseam is more likely to reach back to face the ground. Do that one more time as we get the external rotation, foot towards the floor, then the internal rotation, inseam faces ground, and with control, bring it underneath, land gently, push the floor away, and let's get up to standing through our toe squat series again. So from this position, with the hands or without, we'll find our toes, stay on toes, come on up, and then slow down.
That was my cue. Well, we're standing.
I had been in charge of the squatting actions from standing. So I'll take that over and we'll be right back to Lauren with our crawls. So from standing, we worked on those nice parallel stances. Let's just open that up a little bit. We'll be really quick here. When we stand up out of a squat, push away. By pushing away, you can feel your glute maxes in the back and maybe some core and some hip extension as well in the front. Then when we come down, we want to feel that pull in. And now we might be speaking to those adductors, the arches, also the glutes in the back. Relax your tension and shake it out. Just for one, let's pull ourselves to your safe low. Could be this low, could be that low. And when we come up, we want to push our feet away and extend the hips through. Bring your legs together. Shake it on out. There's more squats to come. But until then, to Lauren's zoo exhibits.
All right, I thought we'd start low today and work into a high animal. So stay tuned.
I'm in.
We will start then with the bear. So we'll return the floor to our all fours, but this time via our hinge. So hip hinge, tip yourself forward, come on down. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders, toes tucked. Right now, let's just pattern this for 4 steps forward, 4 steps back with our knees down. Bowl of water's on your back. Opposite hand and knee lift, pause, place down. Opposite hand and knee lift, pause, place down. Let's do that 2 more times in the forward direction. We're putting together what we've practiced here, which is that core stability as well as that hip flexion we worked on from all fours. Now let's reverse it. Pause, lift, little pause. So what we're doing is we're landing on those contralateral sides, making that cross-body pattern tension work to keep our core stable. Now, if that was good and you wanted to add on, let's lift our knees. If that was hard enough as was, keep your knees down. Knees hover off the floor. Opposite hand, pause, place down. Pause, place down. That bowl of water is still fancy on your back. Make your core take a second in that pause to calibrate itself and keep it square to the floor. Last one in the forward direction. And then could we take it backwards? It's still opposite hand and foot. These don't have to be big steps. We have that tension running through the core the whole time. We're breathing and we're still taking that pause. Last one, lift your hips, walk yourself back via your hinge, press through to stand up tall. Whew, that's a low bear.
Low bear, all about that core or that bowl of honey or water on your back, and don't spill a drop. As we continue today, let's do a quick movement clock series, explore that space around you. You don't need much, and let's take it in for a little bit of a ride around the clock. So find your balance low, point the leg, land toe ball heel, feel a pull effort, and then a push and return middle. Then come up through the middle again, knee points to the side, land toe ball heel, level hips, and push center. Same thing to the side, point, land toe ball heel, and then push one way to go the other. Then to the back corner, knee front, knee side, then turn the upper body, turn on that standing leg hip, and then return to the middle. And then touch the floor, reach to the back, feel that scissor action to support, and that opposing scissor action to power through. Other side, same thing, point, land, toe ball, heel. For this drill, keep your heel down in the back, and then push forward. Knee front, knee side, land on the diagonal, nice flat feet, and push apart to return to the middle. Knee front, knee side. We're pulling the feet together and pushing apart. And now knee side, then turn the body, land in that diagonal corner, and then push together, and then touch the floor at the back. Feel this pull effort to get down, a push effort to stand up, and again, we're back to tall. And now it's back to Lauren.
All right, we're coming to the next level of animal, which is going to sound like it's lower than a bear, but it's not, it's the lizard. So let's come down via our hinge again, and we'll walk ourselves first out to our plank this time. So in our plank position here, we'll take a single leg, we'll flick the floor away with that foot, and we're going to bring that foot up beside our hand. If you're finding this quite challenging, you could bring the floor up by using an ottoman or a low box here. Now, what I want to do this first time through is think about sending energy out your front knee and sending energy out your back heel like you're splitting yourself in two. Then pull that tension back together, lift your front foot, place it back where you got it, repeat the other side, flick, lift, hold, reach out the back heel, out the front knee, splitting yourself here for 3, 2, now pull it back, try to lift that foot and place it back where you got it. Other foot comes up again. This time we're going to bring the back knee down to the floor. We're still going to try to keep that chest extended. Can you flick the floor away with that back toe and try to bend your knee, getting your heel as close to your butt as you can for 3, 2. Then foot comes down, knee lifts, front leg lifts, places back where you got it. Other side, foot comes up. Reach away first, then bend the back knee. Keep extending that cheek or squeezing your butt cheek as you try to bring your heel as close to your butt as you can. Oh, almost a hamstring cramp. Lengthen it back out. Put the foot back. Lift the hips. Walk yourself back up to tall. It might have been a little lower than a bear. But.
And it's like Lauren went to a certification or something and didn't let me come with her, because that little scorpion tail action
So much
could
that
have
happens.
been very sinister on those hamstrings, but I really like that.
So much happens up here.
That was cool. Okay, so let's start our squats, or rather continue our squats. We'll start today in that first position, slight turnout with a V shape, and then reach to the side, land toe ball heel. Personalize your stance. This is probably a decent stance to begin with. We'll pull ourselves down, and when we stand up, we'll end up back to 2 feet on the floor in the V. We'll progress as we go, so we'll start low, power up, feet together. Then pick up a foot, point, land in that squat, And then boom, pull those straight legs together. Pick up to the ankle, land toe ball heel, and this time, can we find a single leg balance, then a point and a land, and repeat on the other side. And maybe having a balance aid would help. Point and land. This time, find the knee right away, point, land, and just one last time, find that knee, enjoy that stretch point. One last time, deep squat, push through, melt that away, and shake it out.
All right. A higher animal is a high bear.
Excellent.
So we'll tip ourselves forward and hinge. Place your hands down. Keep upright in that hinge position a little bit. So you're going to have your knees bent. Your heels are going to be slightly off the floor. Like we did earlier today, take that pelvis and anterior tip it, or tip your tailbone to the ceiling like you're a cow. Now, staying here, lightly trying to straighten your hamstrings, but prioritizing that pelvis, which probably means your knees are going to remain slightly bent. Opposite hand and foot are going to go for that walk. Don't worry about pressing those heels to the floor. Worry more about keeping that anterior tip in the hips, breathing, keeping that light core brace. One more step in the forward, and now take it in the backwards direction. Breathing. Elbows might bend a little bit as you push the floor away, but you're using your whole hand here. Take a second, walk yourself back up, and then extend your hips through to tall. I have one more crawl, so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, I'm just looking at the analog clock.
Good. If we have one more crawl, let's make time for one more fun squat. And yes, it's fun, or at least it's a challenge. This time, we'll be doing a knee bend squat in that nice little first position or a tight, narrow stance. Then take a single leg of yours and reach it to the front. And then pull it underneath, and then just push your hips through nice and tall. Let's repeat the same thing with that leg out to the side. Sit, there will be a weight transfer, reach out to the side, and then pull that leg back under and push your hip through. Same effort with that straight leg to the back. Be careful of the low back and use your glutes instead. So reach, using your butt cheek, cramp it up, find that back line, bring your heels together, and stand up tall. Repeating 3 quick reps on the other side. Sit in that squat, transfer some weight, and point out front with a nice straight leg, and pull the knee back, and finish tall. Repeating to the side, knee bend, reach to the side, hold for a second, heels touch, press through tall. Final repetition here, reach to the back, full straight knees, heels front, push through. That was not easy, but pretend it was, and then shake it out. That tension, that time under tension.
One more crawl here. Let's come down this time let's just come down in our hinge. So chip chop your hips.
Chip chop.
Bring yourself close to the floor, but then spin yourself around to end up on your bottom. Our knees will, my high to low theory got lost, and so we're back to low. Our toes are pointed forward. Our fingertips are pointed backwards. Our shoulders are pulled down out of our ears, our chest lightly lifted. Let's first just lift our cheeks off the floor and hold. Then, if this feels okay, let's think about tilting our tailbone to the wall behind us, and then start scooping with your abs, tucking your hips under. You haven't lifted your hips yet, you're just scooping. Once you've maxed out the scoop, then start lifting those hips to end up into your crab or your tabletop position here. Breathe. Now again, it starts from the hips. Your chest is going to stay pointed towards the ceiling as your pelvis goes into that anterior tip or your tailbone reaches behind you. Then it'll slowly start to lower. And ultimately you'll end up back in that V position, hovered off the floor, and then push your hips down onto the floor for a second and just relax. Let's try to do that one more time. Pushing the floor away, hips lift off the floor. Start first at the tailbone, scooping under, abs, 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 abs. Then the hips will start to lift into that extended position. Once we're in this extended position, let's hold. Could we think about just lifting one foot off the floor without tipping, and then back down? And lifting a foot off the floor without tipping, and back down. And then again, it starts at the hips with the anterior tip, Tailbone reaches the back wall, chest is still towards the ceiling, and then it'll slowly start to drop back underneath and relax. Let's flip ourselves over, do one last hinge up, and come to standing, pushing the floor forward and back as you press up to tall, really tall. And shake that out.
Crab is a favorite as it helps us in our studio here work on those sit back rows, ring skills, L sits, all kinds of fun. Should we have one more leg exercise here, Lauren, for fun?
Sure, quickly.
Oh, quickly. We'll start with those feet as we finish that last set in the first position V. We'll do our sit squat, and now we'll take a single leg and reach it to the front. Then from the front, draw a line, a circle line to the side, and then draw a line to the back. And then stand nice and tall and bring that straight leg to the original position. Same thing other side, so we'll sit in that squat.
Other side or other direction?
Same side, other direction, my mistake. So reach that leg to the back, and then like a key in a lock, open to the side, from the side to the front, stand tall. Now bonus time if you wish, take a second, stiffen the bottom leg, and straighten and hold for core
pull
strength.
in.
And breathe, and then tap down out front and return to that first position. Same thing other side. So we sit low in that squat with the knees reaching behind, point out front. Maintain that turnout as allowed. We might turn in on that leg in this practice out to the back, and then stand up tall, and then present that heel forward. And for the final repetition, it's that squat. It's a reach. It's a turnout of those hips to the side, from the side to the front, straighten the standing leg, squeeze your glutes, compress, as Lauren said, driving that foot or hip into the socket there, and then tap toe, return to first, and let those legs shake out.
Whew. Well, thanks for joining us on this weekend workout. Feels really good. Nice half hour of moving. And next week, we'll continue progressing and working on our skills. On Tuesday, it starts back with our kettlebell. Thursday is our bar practice. And Saturday, we use our body weight. If you haven't checked out our Patreon or website to subscribe to a newsletter, you should do that. But also remember to like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes.
Until next time,
Take care,
stay strong.
and let's train soon.
Goodbye.
Have a good day.